welcome to another episode of the Gods of Geek podcast. It is an all-round sausage fest today, as I'm joined by Adam Cook. How are we doing,
My
mate?
sausage is festive. Festive? No, never mind. Hello.
Hello, mate.
Quick bail.
Gary, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
How's your sausage, Gary?
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's alright.
Fair enough.
Or just all right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
A little bit.
Maybe it'll get better the more we talk. Actually, that probably is
that's
a bit weird.
weird.
Yeah, quickly
all right,
move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Dan.
Yeah, meeting.
Hello, mate. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm alright. How is everyone else? Good to be back.
Oh, good, man. Perkier than Mario's nipples.
Yeah, that was a story, wasn't it?
It's been a very raucous beginning
Yeah.
to the podcast.
Good, yeah,
It's been
fascinating.
a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things have
It's all
changed,
changed.
mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things have changed, yeah. You know, people are getting outraged by South Park's difficulty slider and all sorts. But anyway,
Right,
what
about
we
that
doing, guys?
slider, right,
it's-
I reckon, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this, right? I reckon there's no chance in fucking hell that actually changes
It
the
doesn't.
difficulty in the
They've
slightest.
already said it doesn't. They've literally already said it.
Right,
Like,
so
so
you
everyone getting
fucking do
upset
it.
about it, they straight away said doesn't change the difficulty. It's just social commentary.
When somebody suggested this for Far Cry 5 or whatever, everyone was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. That'd be so on the ball. That'd be so clever." And they're like, no, it's because it's South Park. It's shite. Fuck yes.
It's
Back
a
with the
weird
bang,
one
lads.
because like that was that. Fuck it, let's do this. That was literally the video game industry in microcosm. It was, oh, this is really cool and funny, and yeah, that's a good social commentary to. Yeah, but actually they are kind of rich white men, so is it actually any good? No, we've changed our mind. We hate them, cunts. Die. Everything's wrong, and that was like it's a pure video game in microcosm, like like a proper flip flop in this. I think in the space of a couple of hours on Twitter. But then, listen, if you don't look at Twitter, you become happier. And I promise you that's true.
You really do.
I promise you that's true.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I've not been on Twitter half
Same.
as much this.
I'd say even a
weighing
quarter.
myself off it big time. Like if you look at my tweets, the only time I really tweet in a big kind of, like a block of tweets these days is when I'm either watching football or wrestling.
Yep.
Like I'm just not on it as much anymore. Can't be arsed with it.
It's. I don't want to see it. Listen, you can't shut yourself off in the world. Bad stuff is out there. But it's not going to not be out there because I don't have a look at Twitter and see just this outrage. I mentioned this years ago, outrage culture, and there's lots of things to be outraged about. But I've just been playing PES.
People just have to have their opinion on everything, and it's like, just shut your fucking cunt mouth. I get that. There's no need to say anything at all. I've been cooped up for a while. That's it. I've not been saying anything on Twitter.
Follow out Mabrowski on Twitter.
But
Yeah.
Someone who wants to get a job if their opinions mean something, he's going to lambast everyone's opinions.
But you're not. You're not. I'm going to defend you, even though you're here to defend yourself. I'm going to defend you. It's an old sort of phrase. I don't know if it's a regional one or if everyone will have heard it, but there's this phrase called "know whereof you speak," and it basically means
I've heard of that before.
You have or you haven't. Sorry.
It's apart from you, no, not until you started saying it in the old chat.
Yeah, it's true. It's like just if you don't know what you're talking about, just shut the fuck up. I mean, that's not part of the saying, but like it's when people start talking about strikes, I get very arsey because I've experienced strikes firsthand, and like unless you have, just don't because you don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, should we talk about games? Because I do know what I'm talking about with the game.
Yeah, happy things.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, shall we just dive straight in?
Is that a pun? Is there a swimming game?
No. It became I said it, and then I thought, maybe I could have used that.
Well,
in terms of
footballers
diving.
dive.
Well, speaking of diving,
no.
can you still dive on PES? The big question I want to know. Holding
Well,
all
yeah,
the
well,
triggers and the
this
two
is-
analog sticks. You can definitely do it on
this
the last PES.
This is the thing, right? I'd never dived myself on PES.
Got a penalty off it playing against my mates.
I was
last year.
playing Chelsea and Hazard dived, and he got booked for it, and I'd never seen that, even though it had been introduced for a few years, because I messaged Adam
It
and
does
asked
work.
if he'd
as
ever
well.
seen it before. But someone got booked for diving. I was like, oh, that's amazing.
I've
Well, apparently it'd
definitely
already been-
got a penalty for diving before, like intentionally doing it, and it does work. If you time it just right, it does work, and it's really fucking funny when you do it. And it's a feature that they don't really talk about at all.
No.
I like it. Really. It's just a bit of a wild card. It's funny.
But PES 2018. So
Sorry, I mean,
I want
I feel
it.
like I feel like
want
we
it in my veins and all
we
of
say
my
it
body.
every year, but it is better.
It is way better.
This is kind of like this is the exact version of PES that I've wanted. I was a fan of last year's, Well, I just for me, the pace.
Yeah,
of it
okay,
and
yeah.
the feel of it for me personally is. Perfect,
yeah, okay,
and,
sorry.
I feel the handling's a lot better for me. Like the control you've got, like from a variety of different incoming balls.
Yes.
You've got great control, great control on the ball. Passing seems to be a lot smoother, and the AI seems to have really kind of picked up a notch with your teammates. I just feel like that. I don't know. I think it's really stepped up a
we've
notch.
talked about this over the years with PES, or with football games in general, right? And I there's definitely an article in this, but the trouble with the article is that there is no conclusive evidence to prove either way, right? But when you play as certain teams and certain players, you do play the game a certain way. For example, you use Mane's pace. Do you know what I mean? For example, you put the ball in the air for Giroud. Do you know what I mean, Dan? So I sometimes wonder, because like this version of PES, for me, the teams feel the most like the teams. So because put a pin in that just for a second, because I would say that we didn't put a score on our review. I don't think until today the game was in a reviewable state. Like the squads weren't up to date, the servers were completely switched off until the time of recording, and to me those things kind of like I've just been playing random selection mode. I haven't played Master League until today because I don't want to start with the teams wrong already, and I don't want to sit through and change them all manually. Squads have been updated now. Great, you know what I mean? Anyway.
So the servers actually good.
It
at
seems
least
fine.
The squads are good. Remember
the squads are fine now. Like it's even got the Ox in Liverpool's, which is because I know this because I started a Liverpool career mode. Because quite honestly, I like playing in the Premier League, and again, quite honestly, they're one of the most exciting teams to play as when you look at the lineup of players they have. Whether they actually do it in real life is whatever. So 2 matches into my Liverpool career, I cannot keep a fucking clean sheet as that team. Like, I cannot do it. Like, I go 3-0 up and end up with a 3-2 match. The other match I played 2-0 ended up 3-2 to me, and I was 2-2. I cannot keep a clean sheet. And, obviously, I think anyone who knows football would say the first thing you do as Liverpool is find a left back. So I'm still trying to do that. Because, like fuck, is Moreno playing anywhere in the defence of my team?
Get Robertson in. Robertson, I don't know if he's good on PES, but he's good in real life.
But you know what I mean, though. Like it's you don't really need to touch the attacking lineup of Liverpool, but you need to get a left back. And then I realised, no,
you need to get a centre back, a right back,
right? So
another centre back.
Here's the thing, right?
Goalkeeper,
a lot of my goals were coming from like crosses. They would cross the ball in, and my defender would not win the header, and it would somehow sneak in the corner of the net. And if I told you that and said it was a Premier League team, Dan, what team would you think I was describing?
Probably Liverpool,
right?
Really.
What if I said to you that
the Champions League?
Well, yeah, but what if I said to you also that I kept noticing the same shirt number, and he was the same really tall defender that kept getting beaten on headers?
Was he number 6 or number 17?
Well, you're gonna have to tell me because I don't know which players those are. But I don't think
was it Lovren or Klavan?
It was actually Matip.
Nah,
I mean, to be fair,
that only one who's actually all right.
Yeah, I know, but he's only all right. Like you could be describing anyone in that team.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's like I have to buy a defender. I have to buy a defender. That to me is quite magical. Like I was getting angry because it's like I'm doing the hard work and my defenders cannot win headers and they keep conceding goals. This is really, really annoying. I'm going to go and spend 20 million on a defender if I can because like I've had enough of this already. And that is kind of what I want my sort of football video game career mode to feel like because that's pretty cool, isn't it? Like trying to find a way to get playing time for Mane, Coutinho, Firmino, Sturridge, who else have they got? Oxlade-Chamberlain, the new lad I've forgotten his name of. They just signed Salah, and then realising, well, Lallana's not injured in this game. How the hell do I get him into a midfield when I've got Wijnaldum, Can,
Coutinho
and
as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's like you take over Liverpool. It's like I have a problem here. I can't play all these players, but then my defence is shit. It is very good, very good. I would like to see in fact, it may be my imagination, but since the servers went live, I feel like there's been more fouls given because that was something I was concerned about before. I don't know if you played it, Chris.
I was going to mention the fouls actually because in the review I do talk about, I wasn't getting. Well, I've barely got fouled. Then I started a season with Arsenal on Superstar just to, mix it up, really challenge me. and there's a lot more.
Okay, so I need to up the difficulty then, because I do not get. I give fouls and the ref gives fouls, but I am not getting fouled. Like, I haven't had a free kick.
I got fouled.
In ages.
I got fouled a couple of times. Properly, like it made the games a lot better because it's a lot more intense. And whilst it isn't like the games, this kind of movement up the field wasn't rushed. It wasn't like arcadey. Like the kind of difficulty slows it down quite a bit, and it makes it kind of really suits the kind of the more realistic they're trying to go for. And by turning up the difficulty to the highest setting, it just really it adds a lot to it in terms of what the referee's calling. Obviously the fouls as well. You're having to kind of control yourself more and not going in for the foul because they're.
Well, you're also going to get a chance to actually, because the new free kick system is fantastic, and but there's no point if you're not getting fouled because you're not getting to do it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I've had the most times I've been playing with the free kicks is by literally going into the practice mode and doing the drills, and it's like that's great, but I would love to do this in a match because now I've got it down. I reckon I can score some top corners ones, and that was, you know what I mean. So maybe I'll have to just up the difficulty.
Yeah. Maybe just see how.
But not until I've bought defenders.
For me, it definitely kind of improved. No, but just in general, like the game, just I don't like always. Obviously, it looks a lot better than the previous one, which is a given.
It does actually.
But they've really kind of utilising the Fox engine now, and they've kind of they are making the most out of it in every kind of way, and just everything about it. Even the commentary is not as.
They have updated the commentary.
Not as.
It's still not very good. I'm sorry, I can't.
It's still. No, it was. Back in like last year, the year before, it was pretty poor, but it's not. I don't find myself hearing the same thing over and over again.
I mean, he still says more and more and more and more and more. Or
he's so...
like
my favourite is when somebody will have a shot and it'll be a P roller that's already got to the keeper's arm, but then he'll go Valencia.
Yeah,
or something along those lines.
It's like, better, Dan. It is better, but I mean,
I'll be putting it on Italian.
I mean, it's marginally better. I don't know how they really go about making. It doesn't matter, does it? Like the actual gameplay is the thing that keeps you coming back over and over again. I would actually just quickly want to mention it. I just wondered, have any of you guys played the FIFA demo?
I have not. No.
Gaz, yourself?
No.
I'm quite impressed by it actually because I really didn't like FIFA 17. Like really didn't like it. I'm quite impressed. It's very fast on its all default settings. Like it almost feels so. It's like where PES has slowed down a bit. It's not like slow. It's just slowed down a bit. FIFA feels like it's faster. But the there's two things about FIFA. The demo, in it, I guess, it's just all predicated on the demo. I feel like the passing's better, which is something I really disliked about 17. I feel like the passing is responsive, and although there are still perhaps slightly too many frames of animation on those players. I feel like they are getting there. Like the passing is way snappier, and to be honest, feels a little more like PES used to. So they are definitely taking inspiration. The thing that FIFA still doesn't get right for me is the shot. Like the thing that PES has nailed, even in bad PESs, like for years now, is like when you hit that ball hard, you fucking thwack that ball, don't you? And like in FIFA, I never feel like that, and that seems the same. But look. You don't spend all game shooting; you spend more of the game passing. So I'm quietly hopeful for that. Actually,
Yeah, I'm intrigued by FIFA.
I'd like there to be two amazing football games. Like there's no fanboy bullshit here. I like football and I like football video games, and if there can be two of them that play differently but are both really good in their own way, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been harsh on FIFA a lot, but I think it's deserved it because it's been fucking shite. So if it got returned to form, I'd be very happy.
I mean, like, the stuff this isn't in the demo, but the stuff they're saying they've done, like, they've shown, I think it leaked via the betas, but, like, there's cut scenes for transfers and stuff. Is an interesting idea. I don't know if it's the sort of thing that would get boring after a...
That's the sort of stuff that's, like, the paper over the cracks that they've done for years.
Absolutely.
When they put, like they had, like, player reactions on the benches in every Premier League stadium and fucking linesmen doing stuff or fourth officials or actual referee or whatever. Like every year they'd have something kind of that'd make the whole package seem better and more authentic. But at the end of the day, it was just a thinly veiled bit of paint over cracks of gameplay.
From what I've seen so far and played of the demo, comparing the two games, which I know people don't like to do, but I'm going to do it because why not? I still feel like FIFA is the kind of, if you buy into the whole Sky Sportsedness of football, is going to be the game for you, whereas, and this is going to be very unpopular for FIFA fans, whereas I feel like PES is the game for people who know football, who have played football a lot, and it's not, they don't just watch TV, they've been to matches, they've seen the shock and the awe, they've experienced kicking a ball themselves. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying FIFA doesn't play like football, because it does, but I still feel like PES nails that, and it nails it better than it ever has.
FIFA is just Sky Sports.
It is, and I said that in
more actual football.
I don't know when I last reviewed a FIFA, but I know the last two times I said it, I have said something like they may as well rename this EA Sports Sky Sports Football, because it is that. But then that is kind of football these days, isn't it?
Unfortunately,
yeah.
But one of the modes we both quite enjoying it is a random selection.
Quite enjoying it is an understatement. My God, that's good.
Well, yeah, I think it's worth talking about that.
The game came out today. The game came out today, but obviously having played it pre-release along with yourself, I have already seen tears. I have seen controllers thrown. That game, that mode's magical. So for those who don't know, it's come back from, it's been away a long time. It used to be in PES, but obviously it's back now. Yeah. And the idea is that you can choose 4 pools to pick your players from. So, Chris can pick Real Madrid, Barcelona, England, and the league, Ligue 1, or whatever it's called nowadays. And I can pick Argentina, but I can pick Argentina the nationality, or I can pick Argentina the team, so the squad that would be Argentina's squad, or all Argentinian players. So you can really vary it up. I mean, if you want to, you could just pick the Premier League and go with that. It then gives you a load of random players each from the ones you've selected, like the Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever. And then at the end, it shows you your 3 biggest picks, and they're in because you pick a base shirt, so you pick Dortmund or Liverpool or whatever. And it shows you a little cutscene of these 3 players walking towards this kind of Sky Sports, all swagger and all that. And then and you're playing it, and you've both done the same thing, and you've picked your team, and you're looking at the screen, you're waiting, and then their team pops up, and it's Dybala, Suarez, and let's say Bravo in goal, and you're like, God, he's got 3 highly rated players there, and then yours pops up, Messi, Bale, Neymar, and you're just there like, oh yes. Then you can select a trading section where you have 3 rounds, or you can have as many trade rounds as you want, but within each trade round you do 3 things. First of all, it shows you all the players, and you pick which player you want to steal. And to do that, it shows you, you press L1 and up for that player, and it's all mapped out on the screen, but of course it's like penalties, you hide your controller. Then you have to pick the player that you want to lock. So if you've got, say, Bale, Messi and Ronaldo, you might think, well, I've got to keep Ronaldo, so lock Ronaldo. And then on the third round, and your opponent does this as well, same way, a button combination to match the picture. And then on the final round, you choose one to get rid of. If it all goes right, you get their player. They've locked the wrong player, so you've managed to get the one you want. And by doing so, you swap your shit player you didn't want for their best player. And then you can do this how many times you appreciate it to do. And it's just amazing because you sort of start counter-picking people. Like, I'm playing with my son who loves Arsenal, and I've got Özil, but I've also got Neymar, who I know is his favourite player. But I'm looking at my squad, and I've got loads of strikers, and I'm like, do you know what? If he steals Neymar, I'm actually okay with that, but I really do want to have Özil in my attacking midfield because I haven't got many really high-skilled attacking midfields. So I lock Özil, he goes for Neymar, he gets his Neymar and he's all happy, but what he doesn't realise is I've also gone for Modric and he's lost his attacking midfielder and I've got Özil and Modric. Do you know what I mean? And it is absolutely
It sounds fun.
incredible.
It sounds like a bit like Russian roulette type.
It can
thing.
be because you obviously you don't know who they're locking, and it does become a kind of thing like, well, will he lock Ronaldo? Because everyone would want to keep Ronaldo, but then you look at his squad and like, but he's also got Messi and he's got Suarez, and you're like, you have to kind of pick what he's thinking, and you after a while, like you start to learn the players that are just not overpowered, but like Isco, for example, is incredible in this game. He's pretty incredible in real life, obviously, but like him and Aguero would be 2 players I would desperately want to hang on to. Aguero, I've never played a match and not scored with him. I look at real football and I'm like, how can you not start this man? Like, he's handsome, he's fantastic on the pitch, he's very handsome. And the same with Isco. Like, again, like they're two players I would protect, but you can only protect one per round. So it's like it's. I mean, Chris, you've played some of it. I'm not wrong, am I?
Oh no, it's excellent. It's just I've not really played. The only person I've played it with is my wife. So she's not like the most familiar with football, so it's not the same. But the actual kind of there is like a kind of Russian roulette sense to it, because you don't know what the other person is thinking, and you know there's a load of different variables that you can change to kind of decide on who you are going to pick. So it's just a really fun mode, and it
does this work on the same screen? Because obviously you can see who's picking.
No, you can't. No, you can't, because what it does is, so imagine a grid of, I can't think how many there are. I'd say 26 players, and they're from highest to lowest rank. Every one of those has a different button combination. So let's say top left is L1 and up on the D-pad, whereas middle top is like L1 and X, and you press them, but it doesn't show that you've pressed that on screen.
Okay.
It's just like so you're holding your controller. Like, imagine you're taking penalties down against your mate. You know, you're hiding the controller, aren't you? And it's that same thing, except it's button combinations. So it's like, I want to keep Ronaldo R1 and left on the D-pad. He can't see you've done that, and it's the same for each of the three sort of sections of that. So no one can see what you've done. So yeah, it's totally hidden, which makes it so much fun, because you're sort of sniggering to yourself, thinking, you're not getting my Neymar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess
it's so good. Yeah, it's just so good.
So Gary.
Yes.
Are you tempted?
I'm not really a football person, to be honest.
So no.
The only football game there is this year that I'm interested in is sociable soccer.
It's like
the rest I can't. I mean, I used to play like PES years ago, back on when it first started on PS1 and then through to PS2, but sort of beyond there I never went back, and I haven't even. I mean, I don't remember the last FIFA I played either. It's just I'll watch football now and again, but I don't have the same passion that I might have done.
Do you support a club
as a teenager and stuff? So. Sort of. I grew up in a United
Which one
household.
of them? Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
And also Stockport County as well, being my local club.
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, that's a fucking write-off these days. And County is. United, they're alright at the minute. They're doing well. But how long that'll last, I don't know.
Well, obviously we're still playing through PES for the online segments of it, so you'll probably get a review score next week. But yeah, PES, brilliant. So Gary, what have you been playing then, mate?
I mean, most of it's stuff that I'm reviewing currently and not really talking about.
You can talk about the big one. You just can't review it. You could, because like Project Cars 2 is the one.
Yeah.
And like they
in a preview,
they've given us I mean, I've played the PS4 preview build. You've played the PC preview build, and that, from what I remember, had pretty much the entire campaign on it. It just was not finished, if you know what I mean, like not balanced, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can talk, I think you can talk about it. Just don't say, definitively it's a 10 out of 10. Well, actually, if you said that, they probably wouldn't mind. So don't do that anyway.
No, definitely. I mean, it's come on leaps and bounds from the last game. It's the last game that the handling just wasn't right, and it was just far too easy to spin out, no matter how
Can
you.
I ask you a question about that,
controls.
Because you are far more of a racing gamer than me. I like my racing games, but you know your shit far more than I. One of the big things that Slightly Mad have been talking about quite a lot leading up to it is that they redesigned the sort of PS4 controls for it. I did feel like that was true, but I also have a bad memory and can't remember how the first one played, because I played it on PC, in fact. Do you think it is true, or are they making a bigger deal of that than there is?
Yeah. No, it's so much better. Because before it was sitting in this weird place where it was either too twitchy or not responsive enough. And it was weird, because you just think, surely it can't be both, but it somehow was, and nothing worked properly. Whereas you'd have to fiddle with it for ages, the different sensitivity settings, to get it to basically to get anywhere near drivable. This sounds really harsh, actually, but that's how I saw it.
But
cool whereas you go into like, you go into something like your Gran Turismo, Forza. Granted, they're not quite as hardcore sim as this, but they are at least controllable right from the start. Same could even be said of stuff like the GTR games on PC. They were proper sims, and they were playable. So there was always just something with that handling that didn't quite work. But they've done such a good job with. I think it was basically made by. They did the whole by players for players thing with the WMD thing, and I think it was all PC players on wheels. Not the PC players personally on wheels.
It might be
using wheels.
Yeah, they might be.
They might be. And I think that was the problem. It was basically a game made entirely with wheels, and nobody cared about the controllers. But of course, you go to a console market, and most of them are going to be using controllers. And this one is so much better. I still had to fiddle with it to get it right, but not as much as I did before. And yeah, I can now throw cars around like Donington and Silverstone, and then going off to like Spa and stuff like that. And I can drive it how I would in any other racing game. But with there's an added sense of realism to this, and it kind of speaks to my, I love stuff like all the way down to like the grassroots motor racing, and the fact that it's got like the Ginetta Junior starters, which I fucking love watching them on they go alongside like the touring cars, and these are like kids who are like 14, 15, and they drive without fear. So it's great watching it, but being able to drive in those cars as a starting option in this game, it's great. I mean, they did it in the last game as well, but of course this one's playable. It's great. I'm really enjoying the level of detail in stuff like the different weather patterns, the fact that you can, you have like dynamic weather.
It's a looker too so far in a preview sense.
Yeah, definitely. Or technically not definitely.
Yeah, I mean, definitely maybe.
But yeah,
there's that Manchester connection.
Yeah.
Is
that's
there
a joke
anything
that's just
new
gone
with
over.
the actual map? Because I know it's like just America again. So is there any like new cities or places or anything?
I think he's talking about the crew, don't you?
Oh shit! Yeah.
This is
Driving games are blended into one.
I mean, let's review the crew too.
They're all right. They're all blended into one. They've all got similar names. Like there's Drive Club. There's what's this one called?
Project Cars.
Is this Drive Club? Project Cars. They're all just car games, aren't they?
Can I just say that I find the
my
capitalisation on that game name incredibly annoying. Like, I know there's games out there that are spelt wrong, like Dishonored, which is, it's the US spelling, isn't it? And I know there's games that it's like, like Wipeout's one, like capital WIP, capital E, but Project Cars, I find that name so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know why it's capitalised.
Nor do I.
As far as I'm aware, it doesn't stand for anything. It's just
cars.
Somebody yelling cars into a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
It's just all it seems to be.
No sense.
It makes no sense. Yeah, when I eventually get round to writing my review, I'm going to have to type it out in capitals each time, and every time it's going to make me twitch.
Yep.
Just I don't understand it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm quietly hopeful for it to be as good as I wanted the first game to be, basically. I needed something different to the usual stuff. Like we all know I love my Forza, but I don't know, Forza, in a way, Forza's kind of more like the FIFA now. It's very shiny, very polished, but it's not really doing that much different anymore. Whereas something like Project Cars is doing basically everything, and it's doing it at a bit of a more realistic level. So hopefully, it's maybe Project Cars is going to be the PES of of racing games.
You've lost me.
We'll have the Forza, Gran Turismo's like the FIFA style.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not be that. By the time I finish playing the review, I might end up hating it. but
hey,
hopefully not.
Who knows? You have to come back next week. I can't listen. Right, we've got about 20 reviews going on at the moment, and there's only about 8 or 9 of us. So just I think the embargo's next week sometime. It's when just keep looking at God is a Geek. Just refresh God is a Geek every 5 to 10 seconds, and that way you can be sure that you won't miss. I mean, or just follow us on Twitter at God is a Geek, and that or Facebook.com/God is a Geek.
Whichever one you fancy doing.
Just type God is a Geek into Google, right, and just create a script on your computer that automatically refreshes that URL every 2 seconds to be safe, and you'll be fine. There.
So yeah, there you go.
I'm tired, Chris. I'm sorry.
Hey mate, don't you worry, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah.
It's been a while, so what you been playing? Well,
as a whole, over the summer, not a lot because I've been fucking working every day, getting home knackered, and just going to bed because that's how I'm choosing to spend my last summer holiday.
You're old, Dan.
Like
getting old.
Yeah, it's very depressing. Very depressing.
Gets worse, mate.
Recently, because thanks to Adam for pointing out that Dishonored 2 was only £10 in Tesco, I snapped that right up, and I've been playing that. I'm really shit at it, but it's really good, so that's alright. It's just like every time with like these type of stealth games, I really try. It's like scout out, go on, try and find every possible way, be really slow, be really careful, then eventually I'll fucking zoom into the wrong place, just get fucking battered, or I'll fucking batter everyone, and then just run through. Yeah, I never feel like I'm like this stealthy cool assassin. I'm always the one who has to just smash his way through.
Does first person stealth work? There's an article for you. You can have that one for free. Because I've been mulling that for a long time, and I can't think.
I'm not sure it does.
I can't name. All right, here you go. All right, Chris, you've reviewed more games than anyone ever. In fact, name 3 first-person games that feature stealth as one of their main mechanics that's entirely successful.
Original Thief or Thief 2, whichever the good one is.
What, the Xbox? Oh, the very, very original one.
Yeah, the good, whatever the good one is, the first good one.
Can it be a game that has something other than first person in it, or does it have to be solely first person? I think we have
to hear. You're going to say Metal Gear Solid, aren't you? The first one on PS1.
No,
because I
see,
maybe
I would have said.
I do think the Dishonored games
I can't think.
I do think the Dishonored games are very good.
I think it doesn't work. It's easier to have your surroundings there and plot a course.
I played one recently and I can't remember what it was. What games have come out with first person stealth thing? Because I remember thinking about this article idea of like literally I was would that annoy people? Because if it would, I will write it.
I suppose stuff like Skyrim, there's moments where you have to use stealth in. It's not technically a stealth game.
I think the biggest thing it's missing is peripheral vision.
Yep.
Like your third person, you do see more around you, whereas first person, it's very narrow, because it's not really like real life. You don't have that peripheral vision like you do normal. So first person, you've got that real tunnel vision, and it's very, very difficult to know that something's to the left or right of you, or just around that corner. Whereas, I don't know, it never seems to quite work.
I can't think of a single game, like not one that's like because Bethesda do a lot of them. Like if you've got to try, I think you've got to block Bethesda out because any of their games, even Prey, has heavy stealth stuff. So, like, what other first-person games can we think of that are stealthy?
Well, Deus Ex did it well, but
do you know what?
Human Revolution did, but again, you did go into third person when you're behind cover and stuff like that. So it that's probably the best way around it if they're gonna do it. But yeah, I can't think of any that are just always.
Far Cry's the same. You might try and sneak up on a camp in Far Cry, and then you end up doing something wrong, and it's just a gunfight.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
I think it's first person games with elements of stealth in it are like some of them are good, but not solely for like Alien Isolation. You could class the stealth elements in that.
You just did it.
But
that's blown a hole out through the theory.
You did it. You've done it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd still argue against that one.
No, well then, that's disgusting.
Fuck you, Gary. I just bloody thought of one. And you burst my bubble.
Alien
Thanks,
Isolation
mate.
is one of the best games of the last 10 years that somehow deserves a sequel like that. We can say we got one, so people should tweet us with two more. Completely, entirely
If there's
successful.
a sequel, it needs to be shorter.
Yes, I agree.
That was its biggest.
Gary,
flaw.
calm down. Calm down.
Oof.
Don't you?
I agree it should be shorter, but let's not. Come on. This is.
I got bored.
I do think the first Dishonored should be there as well.
I
can't really speak for the second one yet.
I
The first Dishonored is really, really good.
I can't
There's some
think
great missions in it.
of a game, Dan, that I wish I could get into more than the Dishonored series. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do them. Dishonored 2 is good, though. I mean, everyone else... I mean, that's the game that got 10s. It's amazing. Game of the year, right?
It's up there, I should imagine, yeah. It's enjoyable. It's fun. I really like the new Kernica, I think it is. It's a really... It's nice going from like the dark, gloomy city of Dunwall to a kind of more Mediterranean place. I really enjoy just exploring the docks there, and I wish there was... my only complaint is I wish you weren't immediately suspected by guards every time. Like, there's one bit where I'm going into this flat, this house, or this building that has a laboratory in it, like some scientist gaff, and they're going through it, these guards, and as you come up, there's a woman trying to get in, and she's been, oh no, you're not allowed in here, it's been out of guard, you gotta go, and then she just walks out. So I wanted to just walk up to the guard and him try and say the same thing to me, as, just saying, oh, you're not allowed in here, love, sorry, and then I just shank him one. But he can't. With this, he just immediately suspects that I'm this murderous bitch, and thus I am, and kill his fucking head off. So it's just like, I wish there was a little bit more, you weren't immediately suspected all the time, if you get me. Especially when you're in kind of like neutral zones or whatever.
AI does need to improve with stuff like that. In general, just cause it's too
very
easy
well
to
seen
have
as
that.
well, the Dishonored 2 AI. It sees you from miles away, and then thankfully you've got enough time to kind of hide back again. But it's good. I mean, look forward to playing more of it. Also, the thing is, I've got like so many games. I've like started them, and now I'm in the bind where I've got like 3 on the go now. Like, I've got the Ezio collection because it was on sale for like 16 quid, and I was like, I need to. I don't know if I'll ever finish him, if I'll ever even fucking play him, but I like knowing that they're there, especially since Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2 are 2 of my favourite games. But fuck me, I forgot how much that cunt jumped off buildings. Christ alive. Fucking stay on the bloody holdy things that you're climbing up on, you dick. There's that, and I started playing the first episode of Life is Strange Before the Storm. Now, I think the look of it's good, the music's really good, all hitting place, and I still think the dialogue's shit, which means it's fucking authentic to the first one. I feel like this one controls a bit weird. It was very ungangly. I was like the camera was like fucking, like, I'd stop and it would still go for a bit more.
I've got inertia to the walking.
That was a bit... Yeah, a bit nauseous, yeah. I don't know what that was. It was a little weird, but it's alright. I've not played much. I'm not sure about Chloe's superpower of arguing. I don't really sure if I like how that works that much.
She should be a games journalist.
I remember reading Nick's review, and it sounds a bit redundant. Like, it doesn't really matter.
It feels like there's needed a gimmick in there, and I'm glad they haven't done obviously the time thing stuff, because obviously that'd be a bit weird. And they needed a gimmick there, and I kind of like it in premise, I think, but I feel like execution's a little bit weird. I feel like, I don't know, I think sometimes the options are all a bit shit, and you're like, well, I have no idea which one actually is going to work here. I just have to listen to the word or something, and then kind of play on it, and then, I don't know, it's weird. I think it's a kind of a nice story about how kind of Chloe, and I think the one bit that got me fucking was going through a phone and seeing text to Max, and how she sent 3 texts about 7 months apart each, and that she never got replies from it. It's like, oh shit, that's very heartbreaking. You can really kind of tell, kind of see, I guess, in like this is going to be like kind of the spiral of, well, the how Chloe kind of gets happy with Rachel, and then it all goes to shit. And it's a nice start. I'm looking forward to kind of finally getting around to finishing it. So all good.
But Dan, is PewDiePie a racist?
Right. I was listening to a good friend of ours. A good friend of ours was doing his podcast, and I was listening to it this morning when I was working. And as I was listening to like their takes,
you can't say his name. He's not there.
Fucking Big Colin. Yeah, I was listening to Big Colin and the lads. And girls for that matter. And I was like listening to it, I was like fucking raging of like if I was on that podcast now, like what I'd be saying. and I can't really, it was a spur of the moment thinking in the moment, but the people who've like review bombed Firewatch, like fucking virgin cunts, man. Like, get a fucking life, you sad wankers, man. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, it's Campo Santo's property, intellectual property. It's their product. They can do whatever the fuck they want with it. Copyright law.
They kind of can't because they have a thing on
they
their website saying you're free to take video and monetize it.
And then they can say, well, no, you no longer can.
I absolutely agree that they do have the right to do that. However, if they do that, they're setting a precedent that says basically if a game developer decides they don't like your coverage because it's negative, they can DMCA you.
True, but that's the line, isn't it? And that's
but they've crossed that line.
Not be pricks about it. In this case,
because
the line is he's being racist.
But that's a different because he's not racist in that video. If you know what I mean. What I'm saying is.
Well, yeah,
what I'm saying is they have literally said we don't like him, we don't like his content, and that's fine because technically speaking, a game publisher could say we're not sending God as a Geek code to this game because we don't like them and we don't think we'll get a good review. The difference is that's surreptitious and it's behind the. And I listen for the record. I know that happens. I'm not going to stand here and say, "Hey, publisher X." I know damn well that happens. I've seen it happen. However. With this thing being so public, and the trouble is,
well, that's what I was going to say. I do think they didn't need to tweet about it.
Should have just done it.
Contacted PewDiePie, but they should have just done it and not mentioned it. Like, I think mentioning it was maybe a little bit of point scoring, but end of the day, we need people to in this shit all over the planet. We need people to kind of
totally agree. I totally agree, but then they need to take that message down as well that says, "Well, you're free to monetize," and ultimately for me, the whole thing boils down to a very simple thing, and I tweeted it, and I'll repeat it right now. There's no such thing as accidental racism. Like on this podcast, I knew where this would end up coming up, and I was going to actually say I have never once said, and I was going to say the word, and then I realised even though I think anyone listening to this knows I'm a good person, knows I stand for the right moral, knows that I would stand up for anyone, and certainly people who can't defend themselves, I still can't say it. I still can't say that word because of how loaded it is. There is no circumstance in which you suddenly become accidentally racist, and
it all tells with how he immediately corrected himself.
So it's like, what exactly are you thinking?
That's the worst thing you could have done because that's your intention. You use it as an insult. It's like people use it as like, or black people use it as like they use it with an A in the end instead of a hard ER.
But even then, I'm not sure a white guy should be saying it.
Reclaiming it. Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, like, there's a great,
used it as an insult, and it's pretty
video
bad.
That Bill Maher, the guy in America who does the chat show and stuff. Mm-hmm. He had Ice Cube on, and a lot of people kind of say, well, black people say it, which is a fucking.
Because people are fucking idiots. They don't understand social appropriation. That's the word.
Yeah, and basically Ice Cube went on and explained to a point why he will use it in his music, he'll use it in his life, and you kind of get it. And we're not going to go too deep into this, but he kind of says that they've earned it. They've earned the right after all they've been through time.
It's them
it's a really good kind of video. They're taking it back
and using it for their own power.
I just know that I would never. It's not part of my lexicon at all, and.
No, absolutely not.
If you say that, if you use that in the way if you use it at all, fuck it. If you use it at all, it had to be there to begin with. It means you have to say that and that. It's like, I'm not going to lie. There are words and phrases that all groups of friends say to one another. There are jokes that groups of friends say to one another that they wouldn't put on a podcast anybody in the world can listen to because that's the world. That's the world you put forward. Everyone. Even I genuinely believe I'm just me on Twitter, for example, but everyone has that moment where they think, actually, I won't hit send because maybe I paint myself in a bad light. That even when you don't intend to, that's human nature.
Because on social media, so much is lost in how you say things,
no
like
context
so much nuance
in
and kind of
100 and whatever
facial
characters.
Language and tone of
we
voice.
all do it.
All of it's lost on social media, so it's impossible for us to do that.
It is. When we all have our groups where we tell jokes that we perhaps we wouldn't tell elsewhere. Everyone does it. The difference is that's not what he's doing here. He knows better. He's a white man in a position of massive amounts of power. And do you know what? I genuinely was. I was really thinking about this while I was wandering around in my day-to-day life, and I was thinking about the fact I have 2 young kids who I ask not to watch him because his content can be very iffy anyway, and they don't generally watch him. But I just thought about the letter coming home from school that said, sorry, we've had to have an assembly because a child saw PewDiePie say the N-word and they thought it was okay to say in the playground. And I genuinely sat there and think, if he did that, I'd want to get in touch with him. I'd say, what, you've got all the money in the fucking world. Get your fucking ass on a plane and you fucking come here and you tell every one of these kids that you're sorry and that they shouldn't do it. Don't you put a video up and say that's good enough, because it's not. It's not to me. I'm sorry, and I don't have any right to be outraged about it, in truth, but putting up a heavily cut video, you can see the cuts. I don't know. It's just one of those things. You can't sit there and go, he won't come back from this. He will. It won't harm him. It won't harm him at all. But it should. No. You shouldn't. That should not be a phrase that falls out of your mouth accidentally. It shouldn't be something you go, oh, I'm sorry, I was in the heat of the moment. No. It shouldn't be a part of your language. No. It just shouldn't.
Heat of the moment is saying fuck. That everyone says fuck or something like that.
Yep.
That's accept. Swearing is acceptable. That isn't.
Yep.
Ever. It's just you just don't. And
I wouldn't be surprised if he's played us. I wouldn't be surprised if he's played every single person. And do you know what? Because if you watch the way he says it, if you watch that video a few times, it doesn't sound accidental. It's almost like he's thinking, "What's the next way I can push controversy?" Because he's got it. Because it's the same. It's the same bullshit cycle.
This is costing him now. He lost his Disney.
But he'd already lost that, and he's not been hurt by it, Dan. He lost that Disney deal, and he's not been hurt.
Well, there is that, but he must you still lost a load of money. You might have fucking unfathomable amounts already. He still lost a load,
but it's like Andy Gray.
If I was still rich, I'd still be fuming if I lost a tenner.
It's like Andy Gray and Richard Keys, right? They lost the best gig that you'd think you could ever have as a football pundit. They just got work somewhere else. Have you seen their Paddy Power advert?
I've not, no.
I recommend you go and watch it, because there's a bit in that where they're it's pundit school, and they've got a classroom full of people, and they're teaching them how to be pundits, essentially, and commentators. And they're like, Keezy, if you just put a Y on the end, I'm not going to do the accent. If you put a Y on the end, it creates an informal, you say that your mates, so Keezy, righty, and then he goes, what about, what's his name? Oh, shit, I forgot his name now. The commentator whose surname's Dark. What's his name? Dan, come on. Ian Dark. It's Ian Dark.
I have no idea.
So he's putting Y on the end of every name. Keezy, Righty, Stonesy. What about if his name's Dark? Moving on, he goes, it's like, how can you two be doing this joke? How can you two be doing this joke when what you got? These people in power, and this goes from PewDiePie to fucking Keys to Trump. They don't give a fuck because they're untouchable, and unless we all stand up and tell them, fuck you, that ain't good enough, they will continue to be untouchable. I mean, like I say, how can Richard Keys and Andy Gray, after what they got sacked for, think it's okay to make that joke? I'm not saying whether the joke's funny or not, sorry. What I'm saying is, how do they think they can get away with that? Because they can, is the answer. Anyway, sorry, Chris.
Just one more point.
Yeah.
One more quick point. So he's apologised again, and people are saying, his apology was fine or whatever. I've not read it, couldn't give a fuck. But he reminds me, and I'm not saying Joseph Barton is a racist, but he reminds me how Barton would always say, or the defence or whatever would always come out for Barton whenever he got done for anything. And sometimes he maybe had a point. He'd always use the defence of, because I'm getting treated harshly because it's me and I have a past. And I think the amount of times you have to use that excuse or that reason for why you're being treated badly kind of negates the fact that you're getting treated badly, because you keep fucking up. And now exactly he's fucked up again, and it's like...
That is exactly
I like PewDiePie. Even when I was a bit older than his target market, I liked him a lot. I thought his comedy stuff, not his gaming stuff, his actual kind of filming funny videos and that, and kind of his satire stuff, I thought he was actually pretty funny, and thought he was a funny guy, and he seemed like a guy who just seemed sound, but obviously not, and it's quite disheartening to know the most famous YouTuber is a fucking
It's like,
prick.
Dan, if you insult me every week and then you go, oh, Adam, I'm sorry, mate, like, after a while you're like, do you know what? Keep you sorry, stop fucking doing it. Like, I'm sorry, Adam. I know I keep apologising for being like. Stop doing it then. Like, you won't have to keep apologising if you stop doing it. I don't want any more apologies. I want you to stop doing it. I want you to be a better person and stop doing the things you have to apologise for. That's what I want. I want you to be, that's the conversation you want to have, isn't it? Stop being like that. Be a better person and stop doing it that you have to apologise all the time. Because after a while,
non-verba, Adam.
Well, after
Factor
a while,
non-verba,
if someone has to
actions, not
apologise,
words.
exactly. But if someone has to apologise that often, you just have to wonder they're just maybe a dick, aren't they? Go on, Chris. Pull this one out of the depression.
No, yeah, I am.
Go for it.
And I'm gonna switch ever so slightly.
Switch. Oh.
No. Oh no, that'll be next week.
Okay.
I'll be talking about something.
There's
on
a
the Switch.
teaser.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go.
Direct, no?
So, films. I want to talk because we'd like to kind of do a kind of podcast every now and again about TV and films and dedicate.
Oh shit! I watched a film.
Some time to it, but
I could drag us back down into the depression so easily by talking about Bojack Horseman.
I was gonna ask you about Bojack. That was
I've watched the first
episode
of that, so no spoils.
What?
I've watched
ever episode?
It. No, the first episode of season 3.
Okay. 4.
I watched it.
What did you watch? What have you watched?
It.
Oh dear.
Stephen King's
I don't understand.
It.
Stephen King's what?
It's good.
The old men are here. Hey?
Stephen King's what? What
Jokes all over the
I'm not letting this go. Someone come with me on this journey. Stephen King's what? What?
Stephen King's IT about the Pennywise, the dancing clown, and it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think it's actually interesting because
wait.
I have seen the original. If that's going to be the question.
You watched it.
Oh yeah, man. Right.
Daniel Murphy watched a horror film, a very scary horror film by all accounts.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know what dragged me there?
You were on a date, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Of course you were. I mean, why else, really?
Of course you were. Of course I was. You know it is. You've been there.
I do this way. That's how I knew. Yeah.
It's all about compromise. And you know where it is.
So she picked the film.
Suffer through clowns. It's actually alright. I enjoyed it. Right. Obviously, when I was watching it, I was fucking terrified. I was in constant terror all the way through it, and I basically had my hands covered. But it actually isn't. It's more kind of horrifying and creepy and nightmare fuel than outright terrifying. Although there was one bit that got me. It's about 2 hours or so, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. It didn't feel that long though. It was nice.
Well, it's only the first half, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it's actually pretty funny as well. It has a lot of the main fella out of Stranger Things plays like a bad-mouthed 13-year-old, and it's a bit weird the amount of dick jokes 13-year-olds are making, but he was pretty funny as it got on. Basically, there's this one bit where the scene's over and it's not involving the clown at all, and then he appears. And fuck me dead, I was sat with like my legs crossed on the back row, and he apologised for your ears, listeners. And I literally, it was Pat Cinema though, so don't worry. And I literally went, he came up and I literally went, like that, really loud on the back row, and everyone started laughing at me on the back row. It was very
embarrassing. Oh no.
Honestly, and it was quite
I'm hoping to go see it myself because I love the original.
As I was going to say, it's compared to the original, which started really well and then ended fucking appallingly. This one I thought was a little ropey to begin with. I thought the characters weren't as well woven together, and I didn't like how the two older lads in the original are the same age here. And I think they really did disservice to Ben. Like in the original, Ben's like he's a big lad, but he's still hard. He's still a bit more normal. In this, they just make him a little chunk.
Right.
Who likes a famous
Twinkies.
80s band.
Oh.
And then, so I didn't think the characters were that woven together originally, but by the time you've spent 2 hours with them, they've all come together, they've overtaken it, and they do the final kind of face off. It's really fucking good, and it's really good. I enjoyed it. I think the clown could have been a little funnier though as well. Like, how Pennywise in the original's all banter. He's a bit.
I walked in on that bit at the end. You know the bit. Well, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but if you watch the original, you know what I mean. I walked in on that because obviously I work at cinema. I was happy to see that bit, and it was like I don't get scared too much at horror films, but that was freaky. Like that was weird.
Yeah,
Chris is a
loud
man,
and horrible.
Dan. Chris is a man.
No. Like I do get like the horror films I get scared at are like Paranormal Activity, the things I can't see. Like that's the shit that really bothers me. But this was horrible. Like it was grim. Like but and it looks amazing. Like so I will go and watch it. But yeah. I'm quite surprised.
I'd like to see it. There's just no chance I will ever be able to because I would have no one to go
It's actually, honestly, it's coming from me. It's not. It's more scary when you think something bad's going to happen. It's more kind of disgusting than outright scary, if you get me. I think. See, I feel like I'm complaining a lot, even though I did like it. I did think the clown, like in the original, the Pennywise is just so much banter. He just fucks with them all the time, does really funny stuff. In this, there's a couple of moments when he like is a little bit funny. He kind of reminded me of Ramsay Bolton at one point with something he does, but he's just a bit too much full on all the time rather than being a bit goofy.
That's the issue I have with it. I mean, obviously I've not seen it yet. I'm not gonna like fully judge, but Pennywise in the original was scary because he looked like a clown. You know, he didn't look like an evil, scary clown like he does in the new one. I don't know. It feels a bit too easy. You know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. They have definitely made him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna.
It's good.
Immediately prejudge it because I mean, when they first said they were remaking it, I was like, "Fuck you! What are you doing?" But you know, I'd still want to give it that chance. I think that
film did deserve a remake as well, though. I actually did enjoy the film. Even though it terrified me as a child, I kind of liked it. I actually watched it relatively recently as well. And it's good.
Yeah, I rewatched it the other night.
I'm looking forward to the next one, because I feel like they're going to do this part 2 with just adults instead of kids.
Yeah, I think I imagine they'll probably do the adults and maybe do a couple of flashbacks, like it's kind of the way they did the original. But have they announced anything of like casting of the adults, or has that not happened yet?
I don't think I've heard anything. I don't think it'd happen for. Well, you imagine it happen soon because they've got Skarsgård.
Yeah, because I'm sure they said it's coming out in like 2019. So I imagine they'll be shooting it next year.
It's smashed all like records, hasn't it? So
I mean, Dan,
if you want to Google while you talk about Bojack,
if you want to take your potential companion to a film, another clown-based film that will, definitely get you in the mood to cop off with one another, then I can heartily recommend Brian Johnson's Vulgar. So anyone who has seen that, the 7 people who've seen that will know that that's a great joke, and you 7 people will be laughing right now.
There you go.
I like to tell the jokes that the one person in the room laughs at. That's a Richard Herring joke.
I'm lost.
Yeah, just watch Vulgar. Take your lady friend, get a DVD or Blu-ray of Vulgar, and just watch that. And I guarantee you, the night will end well for you. And that laughter was a nervous laughter. Just it genuinely is obviously a really the film will definitely. Well, yeah, it's magic.
Brian Johnson is in the.
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know he'd done anything like that.
It's quite an old film. He's actually making a sequel.
Is he?
Yep.
Amazing.
I'll tell Dan after the podcast, because again it will ruin the joke if I tell the listeners why that's not really the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Bojack,
whilst we're on the subject of not laughing, let's talk about Bojack Horseman.
No, I think it's fair. Like Bojack has morphed kind of from an animated comedy to kind of an animated drama. It's still funny, but the jokes tend to be more like the incidental, sort of off. Camera stuff, not off camera, off central sort of stuff in the background, and they seem to be going down more the route of like, hey, listen, nobody's really depicting depression properly. We're going to do it really, really well, and they're nailing that. I haven't seen all of it yet. I think I'm 6 or 7 episodes in. I just think it's a fantastic show. Like, it's just a fantastic show. Like the episode, there's an episode, I think it's episode 5 or 6. It's like really centers around depression, and like I don't think I've ever seen it so well depicted in my life. It's just it's kind of magical. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's very, very well done. I don't know what you think, Chris, how much you've seen of it. Or
I've not seen any of the new series. I watched a load on the coach back from London the other day, and I watched a load. That's
the second teaser you dropped for that, and that's good.
That's good. But I just...
You're back up there soon, aren't you? Is that next week?
Next Tuesday, yeah.
What game will that be, I wonder? Will there be? No.
There'll be. I tell you what, there'll be some precious content some precious.
Oh, very
content.
good, very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, it took a little while, but very good. No,
You'll love it. There you go.
you should have done the voice. That would have.
But no, I can't.
That would be too on the nose.
Yeah,
they're very good though.
yeah.
Very good.
But Bojack.
Certainly
Bojack
ring
Horseman,
Inga Bell.
Oh! That one I got that one quicker.
Oh, well done.
Will
have you got any
Frodo
more?
be there? No, hang on. That's
Door.
I've ruined it now.
Oh, fuck it.
What are you doing? You fucking ruined it. Good lord, Adam. Why the fuck did you ruin it so badly?
That's the joke. That's the best joke. So what do you think of
Wonder's
Bojack?
Not simply. Yes, I love Bojack Horseman. I love the character. I love his journey from the very start to just. It's just a great concept for a show. Like, that no one bats an eye. Like no one bats an eye that Brian's a dog in Family Guy. It's just like people are animals and this deal with it. He's just a great character. I love Aaron Paul's in it as well. You know, he's kind of really grown as a character, and
Oh yeah,
as you say, it kind of deals with depression really well. Much like when Rick and Morty does the kind of
bit of pathos.
the serious. You know, the best kind of comedies for me have always been the comedies where they deal with drama in a and just BoJack.
You'll get there.
It's become one of my favourite shows. And I haven't watched any of the new series, which is annoying. So I'll watch them on Tuesday when I go down to London.
When you go down to Middle Earth, no, London.
But I
sorry.
go down to, yeah, no, but yeah, brilliant. But one of the kind of things I want to end the podcast with is something Gary popped down on the old document, which obviously no one can actually see that's listening, but it's our little podcast document, and it is Star Wars. Gary,
Yep.
you still there?
I am
Go
there.
for it. Go for it, mate. So why what do you feel about the news that J.J. Abrams now taken over, and it's obviously the release date's been pushed back till the
Who was directing it before?
20th.
Colin
Trevorrow.
Colin
they said-
Trevorrow.
They said
did,
why
uh,
this
The
has
Jurassic
happened.
World.
Yeah, did Jurassic World, which is why I was initially a bit disappointed because I wanted to see what he did with it because I love Jurassic World.
So why isn't he doing it, Gaz?
It was apparent. Well, they do the whole creative differences thing, but it sounds like
Right,
he
so
wasn't
shit.
in. Yeah, they didn't want to tell the same story, or they didn't want to tell the story the same way, or something like that.
Right.
So he's.
Have you seen the quote about the Metal Gear Solid film as well, and the Star Wars Episode 9?
I have not.
How he said hands down he'd rather do Metal Gear than a Star Wars film. So
I thought you were going to say
I
Kojima's directing it for a minute.
I don't know whether that. You know, that might have something to do with it, because I mean, that's been going on back and forth for years now.
But surely, though, if
even-
you were given the choice between Star Wars and Metal Gear, surely you'd want to go Star Wars.
It depends
You do
if he's
Star
not
Wars.
that much of a fan. I don't
No.
know. Maybe he doesn't think he'll do it justice.
No, the only way you
But I'd
decide
be
to do Metal Gear is
terrified,
if you
though.
know you're being kicked off Star Wars.
Oh no, I don't. I think he was, yeah. But I think if you don't know the content as well as the millions of people that are going to watch it, I'd be terrified to direct a Star Wars film because
Yeah.
it's a passionate fan base, and if you get anything wrong, and
But Rian Johnson's doing
forever.
it, and I mean, he's what he did, like Looper and
Looper's
Did
a
what?
great
Did he
film.
not? Yeah.
which great films, but you think the size of them were tiny, and he's jumped up to do Star Wars, and he's done it, and Colin Trevorrow did like one of the biggest films of the year when Jurassic World came out and like smashed box office records and shit all summer long. So it's weird that if you then just go, oh no, I can't do a big film, it's like, you've fucking done one. You can't really. It's a weird one for me. I do wonder, because I mean, J.J. Abrams was kind of suddenly brought back in quickly, whether that was a deal that was already on the table, and somehow, I mean, conspiracy theories, blah blah blah. It just seems a bit odd. But that said, I think he did a fucking brilliant job.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's a great move.
Yeah.
I'm much more comfortable with JJ at the helm.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll be honest.
he knows what he's doing. I mean, he did a brilliant job with the Force Awakens. So yeah, I'm happy to see what he does. I mean, that's assuming that the next one's good. We all hope and expect it to be good, but you never know. It might be a toilet.
Shut up! No.
It's possible. I mean, but George Lucas is nowhere near it, so maybe not. But yeah, we'll see. I am happy. Either way, I would have been happy, whichever director did it.
Yeah,
but JJ's a good choice, a very good
He's
choice.
Fantastic, yeah.
Should I watch Rogue One? I still haven't seen it. Oh, really?
Well, don't waste.
I'd say it's still
to.
good. But it's not a Star Wars film, if that makes sense. It's a very different
Sure it says Star
type.
Wars on it. They don't guess. Huh?
It does, but it's very different because it's, I don't know, it's a bit less of the big sci-fi fantasy. You know, like there's no Jedi in it, that kind of thing. It's, even though it's still a big explosive
just
story.
ruined it. I mean, if there's no Jedi in it, I mean,
but it's,
do you know what? It's not.
It's still good.
It's not horrendous. It's. No. I mean, I felt it was very slow. I really couldn't get on with. Is it Felicity Jones?
Yeah. See, I liked her.
I just can't.
Diego Luna, I couldn't get on with his character as much, but I think that was because he's just a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Not the actor, the character.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't in it much, but Mads Mikkelsen was great in it.
Yeah.
And he does something
Good job,
amazing
Nick's
in it.
not on
Which
this.
Should he take his shirt off?
he doesn't. But basically, if you're a Star Wars fan, and you one of the questions you've always had, or one of the jokes is that.
What colour is Yoda's shit? Oh, no, sorry.
No. Close.
Well, that's a good question.
Obviously,
I wonder what colour it is. I bet it's hairy.
I reckon I fairly like brown. Fairly light brown, and a bit furry. A bit like an outside of a coconut, I reckon.
A little gerbil.
A bit smaller. Or a gerbil, yeah, I suppose. But no, the question. Obviously, why create this ultimate star, starship, this, space station with a kind of somewhere that if you fire something into it, it explodes the whole thing. It explains why. And I thought that was one of the best bits about it, which it kind of gives that a great meaning to why that was built. I
might watch it now because I find it hard to believe they could answer that, but
Oh, they do, and it's really it's really plausible, and it's not a terrible film by any means, but it's just, I don't know. Watch it. I'd watch it if I were you.
It's as Dan Murphy would say, skrrraap.
Best
Gary can say it too.
In any film ever.
God, I've just realised I'm on a podcast with three very northern gentlemen again. Is that my wife laughing in the background? Did the microphone pick that up?
It did.
Professional podcasting.
But I just want to quickly mention as well, before we head off, the Hellboy film. Obviously, it's been announced for a while, but they've shown the first picture of David Harbour as Hellboy. So, Adam, are you a fan of Hellboy?
I watched
the original
the first
kind of
one
films?
with Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman?
Yeah,
Ron Perlman.
Maybe actually the first two.
There's
and
only
I thought
there's
they were
only
weird
two,
because I didn't know what Hellboy was then. This is because they were ages ago. Like this before the internet was massive, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoyed them.
I think they're two of the best superhero films, and I just think the whole there was something different. They felt very much like kind of Star Wars in the way, especially the second one, the Golden Army. There's like this scene, and it's like in a marketplace, and there's all kind of different aliens. It's like the Mos Eisley Cantina, and they kind of Del Toro made two great films, but obviously he's never going to make this third one with Ron Perlman. So they basically cast David Harbour, who plays
there were only
Detective
two then.
Hopper from Stranger Things. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
I just assumed given that.
No, there's only ever two. They was like rumours for ages, and everyone had hope that they finally make it, and then Del Toro says, "Nah, I've not got time. I'm not going to make it." And then Perlman was like, "Yeah, I'm afraid not. He'd love to do it, but it's not going to happen." So it feels like it's not a reboot, but it's not a direct sequel, but it will kind of. I'd like to hope they continue the story because it kind of basically Hellboy could be the end of the world, the cause of the end of the world. It's just like they've worked hard to kind of create this arc in those films, and then they just kind of ended it dead. So I'd like to see a third one take a darker tone, and I think they've cast Hellboy brilliantly. I think David Harbour will do a great job. And I also kind of, when me and Gary were talking about it, there's a photo of Ron Perlman sat next to David Harbour, so it makes you wonder what they're talking about, to do with Hellboy, whether it's just a chance meet up or whatever. But I do feel like it'd be quite a good follow on to have this film, carry on from the first two. But there's basically the whole reason we're talking about it. They've released a picture of him, and he looks practically, well, it looks very similar to Ron Perlman, doesn't he, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's Hellboy, so he's gonna look the same kind of that. But you look at his face, and you'd like that could just be Ron Perlman. You know, because like they've done up his face like in such a way that it doesn't even look like the other guy anymore. It actually still looks like Ron Perlman. So whether that's a thing, I don't know. But no, I'm well happy with it.
Yeah, there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. There's lots more. You know, Adam said earlier, there's loads of content going up soon. There's reviews and whatnot.
Just fucking subscribe.
Yeah, do you know what? We asked nicely, but
don't work.
We're fucking.
We're
all
to a degree. That's not true. That just made it sound like nobody listens.
We all work really hard. We're all great. We all love you.
That's true.
Come on, just fucking, please, just give us a bit, because we're all over the shop. You know, I've been in London. I'll be in London again. You know, I just can't think of any puns because I'm just trying to get you money. So just give us some dollar, back us. We're all great. We've got loads of stuff coming out. We've got video series. There's another one coming up this Monday for the Legend of the Ranger playthrough for Shadow of Mordor. So yeah, and we've got some more interviews coming up. Everything. And you can back us all on Patreon at patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. You can follow us all on Twitter. I'm at FirstAvenger83. Gary is at BlueFury47. Adam Cook is at JeebusF. And Dan Murphy is at Mabroski. Thank you guys for listening. And guys, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
No worries at all.
Boom, boom, boom.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Oh God.
My son,
Make it
my son
stop.
was doing that unironically the other day, and I've never felt more ashamed.
Man's not hot.
What is that? No, we haven't got time. I don't understand it. I'm old.
Girl
whatever.
says take my check it off. Says man says man's not hot.
There you go. Listen to Dan, he knows. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.
He does not know.
Bye-bye.
Do not
Bye.
take that as fact.